So, do you, in terms of, I want to get a little bit into the process of these. So, do you working on these? Do you talk with the directors and the writers, or like who gives you the general idea of what they want for the sequence? I guess.
Well, it all varies depending on the show, depending on the director.
Uh,
I give talks and stuff a lot of times at film schools, and I tell them that the storyboard artist position is almost like an actor. You get kind of typecast in a way. You can be the horror board guy, you can be the rom-com board guy, you can be the action board guy.
mm,
I've kind of fallen into this niche where I'm a kind of conceptual heavy lifting guy with like an emphasis on action and sci-fi. So I'll get very general. Again, going back to the Captain Marvel, the opening sequence of the movie where they go to Torfa to spring out that guy,
yeah,
one of the Kree.
yeah,
I mean, the basic direction I got out of that first meeting was, listen, we like the idea of like a SEAL team, small elite squad of Kree soldiers landing on this planet covertly, and they go on a mission, and then they're like, I don't know, maybe they're like springing out one of their own or something. So you could tell that they had basic like storyline ideas that they wanted to pursue, but they weren't quite sure.
mm,
That's basically the amount of information I got out of that. So I got to turn around and do this kind of conceptual heavy lifting thing and say, okay, well, what is this sequence?
yeah,
What does it look like? So, you just go into kind of research land, and, if you're any normal creative person, you're a good observer of life and things like that. So, lots of ideas will start flooding in your head, and you just start thumbnailing out the shots, and then you kind of get it in a coherent fashion from start to finish. I like to board out the entire sequence in kind of keyframes, just get all those big moments that I see in my head happening.
mhm,
Then I'll get all that down and present that at the first meeting. So it'll be like it'll be like a big meeting with all the execs and the producer and the directors there and everything, and do like a tap dance through your sequence and sell the sequence to them.
right. So, at this point, a lot of times is the script not even like finished then?
Oh yeah, I rarely work from a script.
Oh, huh.
Rarely. Now that's
Interesting.
again, that's me. That's the position that I found myself in life. I don't know. There's other artists that I've worked with on the same show that have had fully fleshed out scripts for them, and it might be like a conversation scene or like a walk and talk scene through a really expensive location, so they want to get the shots right. But the script and the dialogue stuff is already done.
Oh,
It's just that myself personally, I usually find myself in situations where they want to be told what they like, or they have a very, very general direction. I also work on all the Fast and Furious movies, but I do that with a separate crew of people. It's a second unit crew, and
mm,
they basically shoot all the action and the stunts. And that's my job for them, is solely coming up with ideas for gags. So that's all we do: come up with ideas for gags.
huh.
And then when I go back to like Marvel or other stuff, I'm back on the main unit. So we're dealing with more story type stuff. So like, again, it varies, depends.
Okay, huh. So, I mean, what is the timeline like for the development of these movies? Like, when do you start working on these storyboards and versus like when is the film actually released?
Well, a typical Marvel movie, I'll be on it for about a year.
Uh-huh.
And then it's usually like another year until it gets released, because there's so much post. Well, you
Yeah.
you have to remember, when I come on, I'm like I'm on before like the payroll people are on.
Wow.
So I'm like up there with the writer and the director, maybe like a concept artist that might be on. We're
Wow.
like the earliest people on. So you have to remember that by the time that I'm done my work, people are still getting hired onto the job, and I may have been on the job for like almost a year already.
Wow.
So they're getting prepped to go shoot. Usually by the time my foot's out the door, they go shoot, they go off the location. I don't know how many weeks they have of shooting. Could be like 10 weeks of shooting or something like that. And then they come back, and then they got to do post and editing. And then they have to go reshoot stuff that they didn't get. And then any type of big VFX shots, they have to plan all that stuff out at the very end. They can hire more board artists to come back in at that point. It's like, imagine doing like a Star Trek movie, and you shoot all the actors, you get all that stuff down. We got all the stuff on the bridge, and we did all this and that. Oh, fuck, we need a big, huge shot of the Enterprise blowing up. What are we going to do? We came up with that idea after we shot everything. All right, well, call the storyboard artist in, and he'll draw up a whole scene or go through it, and then we'll shoot the VFX stuff. So yeah, again, it varies. You can come in at any point during the production to help out.
Gotcha. Wow. So you're involved like throughout the whole film, sometimes at the beginning, sometimes later.
Sometimes at the end. I've been called. I was on a Fast and Furious movie, and we were in Atlanta, and we were trying to get permits to drive a car through a building. And they came up to my office like, dude, you got to do us a favor. You got to draw this car, and we want it backing up, going through the building, right? But don't make it look like it's endangering people's lives. I'm like, well, how the hell do I do that and make it? So, I'm shitting you not. I'm drawing people like on the far side of the street walking, like with baby strollers waving. It's a nice sunny day, and people are just walking around. And here's this car going through a building back. And they ended up actually getting the permit from it. So, yeah, we can be used for anything. Again, like I said, it's that the earliest form of communication. It's like, we need to sell this to this person. What's the best way to do it? Let's show them.
Gotcha. How many storyboards are there usually for a movie?
Well, it depends. There's, I think the biggest, I mean, it can go from a couple hundred frames to thousands of frames. I had a scene where I worked on was just 4 frames. It was one shot, really quick. I think the biggest scene I've ever, it's funny, the 2 biggest scenes I've ever worked on, and frame count wise, was the Lagos scene in Civil War.
Oh yeah.
And the vault heist in Fast 5.